So next we have a great panel. This is the Bay Area, so hopefully we didn't make you guys wait too long for some venture capitalists. We have a panel of venture capitalists who have a huge interest in investing in Indian startups. On the panel, we have one by one, so Mr. Dev Khare, who's a partner at Lightspeed India. Mr. Jishnu Bhattacharjee, who is the MD of Nexus Venture Partners, and Mr. Manthan Shah, who is a principal at Westbridge Capital. And it'll be moderated by my co-founder, Mr. Devansh Sharma. And yeah, Devansh, take it away.
Hello, everybody. I'm back.
So without further ado, we have a great panel here with us. And we'll get started immediately in the interest of time. So all three of you have had stellar careers here in the US. You've also, two of you have also, had your education out here. You've studied out here.
What inspired you all to invest in India's future after studying and working in the United States? What aspects of the Indian market make you all the most optimistic?
What inspired us to
Invest in India's future.
invest in India? Okay. So hi everybody, my name's Dave. Can you guys hear me in the back? Okay, great. Just about, okay. A little bit louder. Is that better? Yep. Okay. So just brief on my story. I grew up in India, then came here for college in 1990. So maybe part of that generation, as has been referred in the last two panels. And then actually spent 10 years in India, 2011 to 2021, and then moved back here 2.5 years ago. Those 10 years in India, the economy went from, I think, 1.5 to 3 trillion, or 1 to 2 trillion, doubled in that time frame. And we saw UPI in terms of the payment system and the 4G system and all that come in. Internet users went from 50 million to, depending on how you count it, between 750 million to 1 billion. And so things changed a lot in that time frame. What inspires me to invest and to spend time in India, even though I'm here, I'm spending 100% of my time on India-based startups. What inspires me is that I think there's a direct connection, I think weirdly connecting the last two speakers together, between technology and the role it can play in India and the development of the country. And there's a lot to unpack there, how it can impact healthcare, financial services, education, and all sorts of things. But that, to me, is the core.
Just a brief. So I did my college in India, then I came to US for graduate studies, and then for one reason or the other, I got introduced to venture capital world in circa 2007, 2008, when this fund, Nexus Venture Partners, got created. And the inspiration with which we started as a firm, and also me personally, was really two things, I would say. One is, India, of course, as previous speakers have highlighted, we got our freedom from 1991, and a lot of things have been happening, even though the progress has been slow. That was a moment when we thought that the overall technology inflection points that has been happening across the world, it's just about to hit, that wave is about to hit India, and India's economy will get digitized. So that was, I would say, one part of the inspiration. The other part of the inspiration was that India has been a software hub for last 30 years, in late 80s, 90s, early 2000, but that was about IT services. What we thought is that given that a lot of MNCs have come in, a lot of know-hows have gotten about software products, we will see global software innovation and product-based companies being created out of India for the global market. So with these two inspirations, we thought that, hey, let's get started. Hopefully we can do something to catalyze those. And now fast forward 15, 16 years, I can't think of my doing anything else in last 16 years than what I've been part of. It is nothing short of a revolution. And honestly, with all the challenges which are with our previous speaker has also highlighted, I think it's an absolutely unprecedented opportunity that India is facing towards today. If I would say last decade has been about building the foundation, the following decade is about scaling. And it's only up to us. It's an opportunity for us to lose.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I'll try and speak louder if that's okay till my situation gets figured out in interest of time. I think my journey was slightly different from both Deva and Jishnu. I did not study here. I grew up studying in India, was an entrepreneur there, worked at early stage venture fund there. And I saw like firsthand a lot of excitement around building from India and being in that startup ecosystem. We used to be always fascinated about sort of the innovation happening over here, and when I saw this opportunity to sort of make the best of both worlds, which is helping companies from India build for the world and sort of being here to stay very close to where the innovation is, yeah, that just inspired me to sort of be here. I'm part of this firm called Westbridge Capital. The genesis of the fund itself, very much like Nexus and Lightspeed, was sort of building that bridge to the West. So that's sort of our core philosophy as well. And like Jishnu mentioned, very, very exciting times. And we also focus on that software opportunity, which is very much India's to take.
Thank you guys for all of your inspiring opening remarks. One thing that you all have touched on is the fact that we want innovation to be happening in India for the world. And one of the key, the biggest trend nowadays is artificial intelligence, and we have, that's my concentration academically too. One thing Jishnu, you spoke of earlier in a previous talk I had seen of yours was that in India, you have a lot of these AI startups, but they are basically using foundation models developed elsewhere. And Dave, I know you've invested in one startup called Sarvam AI, which is trying to build its own bilingual LLMs. What opportunities do you foresee for AI startups in India within this context of developing foundation models? And how can India actually emerge as a leader in AI innovation, not just AI application? What do you guys think?
Okay. Since you referred to Sarvam, one of our recent investments last year, in AI, there's different layers that are out there. There's the foundation model layer, there's infrastructure, and there's applications built on top of that, just to simplify things a little bit. Our belief at Lightspeed is that every geopolitical region of the world will want to have its own regional champions at the foundation model level. The reason is that there are security, data, and other issues at work here where you don't want to rely on other regions to hold that lifeline in their hands and cut it off whenever they like for various reasons. So the same way various regions are trying to get their own chip and semiconductor industries going, I think the same thing is going to happen. We think the same thing is going to happen in AI. And that's why as a firm globally, we've invested in what we think will be regional champions. In Europe, we funded a company called Mistral a couple of years ago. That's grown pretty nicely from there, out of France. In the US, we funded various foundation model companies. And then in India, it's Sarvam. We'll see how that thesis plays out, but that's sort of the core, that every region wants to have its own and will promote its own for security reasons and other reasons. So I think that's the basis. I think in terms of what's happening in India, frankly, I'm a little bit disappointed in terms of innovation on the AI front, whether it's at the infrastructure or application layer, consumer applications or business applications. I think there's a typical 2 to 3 year lag happening right now when it comes to innovation here and then what happens there. But I also believe that, if you look at when Apple introduced iOS or Google introduced Android, it took 3-4 years for Uber and Instagram and all those applications to appear and start to take off. It takes a while for developers and and investors and all to put the pieces together on what this new platform can do that wasn't possible on previous platforms. I think we're in that exploration stage. Let's say we're 1 to 2 years in right now. There's a lot more to come. We're very excited about what can happen not only in India but elsewhere. And Sarvam is our first investment towards that sort of vision of where India could take it. And there's going to be a lot more that comes. We have other companies. We can talk about those a bit later. But it's exciting. It's early though.
Jishnu and Manthan, you have anything to add on that? Yeah.
So the only thing I will add is that you mentioned that what India can do in AI innovation, which you likened it to newer LLM development, and then you said AI applications. But I would argue that vast majority of innovation will happen in figuring out those AI applications that Dev was talking about, because we don't even know the use cases today. I think AI will enable many of those use cases and come up with, or even dream of use cases which was not possible before. So yes, I mean, the speed of innovation we'll see, it's happening. I would say that, one thing to remember, I mean, India is officially the largest developer hub today. India is also officially the largest number of open source users today. So the pace with which people are trying things out may not be in terms of come up with the next transformer architecture or the next fine-tuning paradigm, but using those, open source has done a tremendous job over the last 18 to 24 months in AI, and using those and coming up with a lot of things in application layer is super interesting. One particular area I would say which we are spending a lot of time on and talking to entrepreneurs to see what can be done is, in India, if you look at India has thrived in the service economy for a long time, knowledge service economy. Where it started with IT services. There has been lot of I would say financial services talent, like IT services talent, accounting services, legal services. So many of those professional knowledge services, we believe that AI can have a tremendous role to kind of ranging from efficiency to efficacy to coming up with newer ways of serving those for the world, lots possible, and we are seeing activities happening in India. So yes, it's just a question of time, but probably more innovations will keep on seeing coming from India in the coming years, more at the application layer compared to at the foundation model layer.
Yeah, just a very quick point, completely agree with Jishnu. I think what we are excited about is India has the benefit of, to Jishnu's point, having a lot of those folks who are sort of working on those service sectors, and a lot of AI today is not being able to sort of go to that last mile, and hence human in the loop, as they call it, sort of an important way to deliver the last mile value. And we feel a lot of business models in the domain of AI will come up in India, where India is leveraging that human in the loop and ensuring that the ROI that the enterprises look for is very real, right? So it could be in services, BPOs, contact centers, a bunch of other areas. So we are very excited about companies who are leveraging the power of human in the loop.
Got it. So Dev, one follow-up question to you. Do you share Jishnu's enthusiasm because you said that you guys are investing a lot in companies that are developing their own foundation models, not just in India, but across the world. Do you share Jishnu's enthusiasm for investing in the application layer startups out of India, or would you still prefer the foundation model route, or both perhaps?
No, I think as investors, we invest in each of these categories. There's no one preference or the other. My previous point was just that there's been a little bit of a lag in seeing that come out of India, companies in India innovating on that front. I think one other nuance I'll add here is, I think there's an element of India to the world for software companies, but as investors sitting in India, we also invest in India for India. And I think that's an opportunity for AI. We had an AI hackathon a few months ago, and the company that won it, this was in Bangalore, the company that won it, they were doing something very simple. They would allow somebody to take a photo, point a camera at a government document in some language, and of the 18 sort of nationally recognized languages, and ask questions about it. When is it due, in whatever language they want? When is it due? Can you fill out this form for me? Can you email it to me? Can you tell me if this is a fine? In their language, whatever language, language to language. And it sounds simple, but that's like a breakthrough for a vast part of the population in India. So for India use cases can be very interesting consumer side use cases as well, translating stuff into different languages, producing stuff in different languages. And so very interested in the application layer. We've invested behind that in companies like Pocket FM, which is Netflix for audio. First consumer hit in the US from India, actually. But we've also invested in companies like Pepper Content, which is taking AI with human in the loop to produce content for enterprises globally, whether it's social media or blog posts or white papers or whatever it might be. So I think application layer, there's a lot of opportunity, still early days.
Got it. You guys want to add anything to that? Yeah. So you mentioned, huge opportunities on the consumer side of things. We have currently the Indian startup ecosystem is heavily skewed towards B2C businesses. How do you think the Indian startup ecosystem can now, also have a big amount of growth in the B2B space? Shifting gears a bit, yeah. For all of you.
Yeah, actually, so if you just look at it very in a snapshot, the evolution of startup innovation from, let's say, circa 2010 to now, it started with e-commerce, and that probably is the fabric, because it's a question of when the digitization is happening, you look at needs, and what are the needs? You start with clothing, food, housing, and that kind of stuff. So it started with e-commerce. And then it became enablement of that, what all things are needed to enable e-commerce happening. So for example, we have invested back in 2013 in a company called Delivery, which is the first tech-enabled logistics. Someone made a comment that, we made tremendous improvement in logistics over the last 10 years. And Delivery now is a public company. It went public in 2022. That is a B2B company. So B2B, actually over the last 10 years, we have seen several B2B innovation in the Indian context, whether it is about B2B buying and selling, whether it is about logistics, whether it is about facilitating, I would say, financial access, access to financial resources, whether it is in form of loans, or even enabling payment infrastructure. We are working with a company. So we all know about UPI. Usually, till now, UPI has gotten popularized in terms of peer-to-peer payment in India, which is unheard of. We can't even think of the scale. Sitting in US, we can't even fathom if we don't see what is going on in UPI in terms of P2P transaction. We are working with a company which is doing UPI-based B2B payments. How do you really facilitate that? There are companies we are working with which is working on credit card using UPI rails. There is no reason why the world should be only needing to rely on MasterCard or Visa's rails. So yeah, tremendous. Actually, it's happening. So I would say, a lot of work is happening in B2B on the B2B side.
That's a very positive development to hear. Do you guys have anything to add on?
Yeah, I just add a couple of quick points. I think you're absolutely right that from pure sort of market cap and so the other matrix, B2C has had companies like Zomato, Nykaa, Policy Bazaar, few public companies now. I think what's truly the B2C opportunity, obviously, which is captive to, apart from companies like Pocket FM in the Indian ecosystem, which is obviously a relatively smaller market. I think what we are excited about is sort of the B2B opportunity, which is building from India for the world on the enterprise software side, and there the market is just tremendous, right? Because 60% of the market tends to be US, and there are companies like Postman and companies like Innovator that a few of us have invested in. I think that is just a story which is absolutely the most exciting story which is coming out of India, and there is no constraint on the overall addressable opportunity. India has the benefit of the biggest engineering supply available, and the fact that now there are enough playbooks for folks to know how those businesses can be built. So I think over the next decade or so, we'll see a lot more hits coming out of the enterprise software, the broader B2B opportunity side.
I can add some numbers to the conversation. So let's take away the pandemic era. Let's look at 2019 and 2023. 2019, there's about $24 billion of venture capital investments in India, seed through growth, of which about 5 billion was seed through B, so early stage in the broad sense. 2022, so 2 years ago, that number was about 22 billion, and last year it was about 9 billion. A real dramatic decline because of everything that we know about that's happened in the world. Last year, about 3 billion of that was early stage. And then if you look at B2B as a contribution to that, B2B has gone from 10% 5 years ago to about 25% today, if you think about it, of early stage dollars or capital put to work in India. And so that economy, that sub-economy of enterprise software has really grown up. The final number I'll put out there, if you add up the revenue of all the B2B software companies in India, let's say last year, that number is about $7 to $8 billion a year. So in the grand scheme of things, that number is about 500 billion, let's say in the US. It's a very small number, but it's come up from being an even tinier number. And so the projection is it'll be larger over time, but roughly $8 billion, very head heavy. There's a few companies that control most of that in a sense, but there's a real sense of power and trajectory in that community in India. Next week, there's going to be SaaS Boomi, which is the main event in that industry in Chennai. We'll all be there. I think very strong tailwinds there.
So yeah, really positive developments on that front. I want to, Jishnu and Manthan wanted to talk one thing about one company, Postman, that Manthan you just mentioned. Postman is a B2D company, like it's a dev tools startup. These are relatively fewer in the Indian market. What challenges do they face, and how could they be better?
Yeah, first of all, actually, okay, there are actually a lot of developer-focused startups out of India. So it's not about, in fact, I would say among different areas in B2B software, like talking about B2B software, let's say, software being built, software companies built out of India for the global world, developer-focused and DevOps-focused activities are probably one of the highest, I would say. So contrary to what you say. But obviously, it's a question of how many of such scaled up companies have come up. So that time will say. One thing is true. Let's talk about Postman, which we are fortunate to have worked with Postman even before the company was incorporated back in 2014, when we met the founders. We got blown away. We gave them some money, gave them our office space, and that's how the journey started. The whole paradigm, even for Postman, for first 5.5 years of the journey, it was zero revenue, zero. Which you are talking about, multi-$100 million revenue growing very fast now. But the point I'm trying to make is that it actually takes a lot longer for such products, developer-focused, like you said, B2D, to come up, because at the end of the day, you need to have a product which will be adopted by developers, and developers are opinionated. Like most of the cases, you won't be able to just go to the CTO or VP engineering, try to explain that this is the paradigm and your developers all should adopt. It never would happen that an email will go out from CTO and everybody will follow, and that's the new way. So you have to get something out into hands of developers where implicitly word of mouth drives it. And I think that is a process. Few very encouraging statistics here is that, so as I was saying before, largest developer hub in the world, India, largest number of open source users, India. There are a lot of trials, tryouts around how to streamline the development process from starting from concept to release to production. So around the entire cycle, I call it like software value chain, we are actually seeing tons of innovation coming up. And then we have companies like Postman, Azura, and there are quite a few in various stages of evolution. But this is one area which we think that we will continue to see a lot of innovation out of India.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing to add. I completely agree with what Jishnu said.
Oh, Dev, anything to add here? Okay. So before, that's a very positive story that's coming out of all three of you, that lots of innovation happening in AI. We have also great potential for B2B startups, and great stuff happening on the dev tools space also. Before we move on to the audience questions, one final question I had for all of you as a panel would be, what guidance would you offer to this large fraternity of Indian students at Stanford, situated at the heart of entrepreneurship and innovation, on contributing to India's tech development?
Perhaps reflecting some of the previous speakers, I'd say move to India and do it there. I think it's easy enough to think about what's going on there from here, but when you're on the ground, like, the feeling is completely different. I go every 6 to 10 weeks there, and every time there's a new highway that's functional, and there's an airport upgrade that's been done, and I think last time finally my Air India plane was upgraded, and the entertainment system worked. But it's improving, and the raw power is amazing to see. I'll give you one story. I had one of our founders there that we backed, several years ago. The company had grown a lot, and he came to us one day and said, my in-laws, my future in-laws are not allowing me to get married to my fiancée, and this was a board discussion. And he was like, I need to get some liquidity. I need to show that there's something in my bank account, because they don't believe that this company is a real company. They're telling me to go work for Infosys and IBM and Postman and real companies. And so we had to engineer a liquidity round, a secondary round, to get some money into his bank account, and I can proudly say he's married now. And so this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but the reality is that technology is causing social change. And to connect it again to the previous speakers, there's a link between the two, and that's also pretty powerful. In addition to the visible stuff, you see, there's the software of India that itself is changing.
Fantastic.
So go there, experience it for yourself.
Fantastic. You guys have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I'll completely agree to what Dev said. In fact, I mean, as students, if there are internship opportunities, I think that's a great way for you folks to sort of have a chance to get a taste for what's happening. If you want to be entrepreneur operator, there is no other place that I would recommend, and we can be extremely helpful. I'm sure all of us can be extremely helpful in helping provide some of those opportunities, because what's happening in India, and especially if I were to give one more reason why the B2B software companies, especially coming out of India, have an unfair advantage, is capital efficiency, because just the fact that you have many more shots at getting the product market fit right, because of the fact that it takes lesser dollars to build a company out of India versus building out of here. So as an entrepreneur or an operator, there is no other place to be right now. So I just highly recommend what they've just suggested.
I think,
yeah, I mean, I echo both of them. I would say that the energy is very palpable. Like, unless you are there, you won't quite realize what's going on. India is a leapfrog economy. I want to reiterate that many things that's happening. It's not just about what's happening in US. We are having a lag and seeing it there. It's far from that. Many cases, things are happening in India in totally different way, and I would say much more significantly efficient and effective way than how things happen in US. So that's one. And the second thing, I would have to say, I mean, I was here from 2006 to 2008 in this campus, though, grad school, business school. But, it's an amazing place, being in, like, all these conversations that is happening and all that. So I have to just echo, because it resonated so much when Mr. Gurucharan Das said that, you enjoy, take your work very seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. And just make the maximum out of it. I think, there's a tremendous opportunity all of you have here to be at Stanford at this time. I mean, it's the true melting pot today, right? Like, across all the world it's coming in, and at the very heart of Silicon Valley, with all these innovations are coming up. So see what all can be done. Continuously keep on thinking on, what part of it can actually be applied to India. Go to India. Maybe build companies, I would say, echoing Manthan, that you can do a lot of things, B2B SaaS company out of India, but you can also do from day one a a split founding team. Like, if you know someone who might be, like, your friend who might be stronger in go-to-market, you might be stronger in other things, in technology and development. You might be based out of India, your counterpart might be based out of US, and you can build out the fabric of building a global, enterprise company from day one. So sky's the limit. Just enjoy here and, follow your passion.
We do have time for a few questions. Why don't people raise their hands? A lot of them. We'll begin with the lady at the back. Yeah, you. Yeah. Ansika, in the interest of time, can you just stand up and yeah.
So the focus of the discussion was mostly about AI and software. So I just wanted to know if you have any exposure or thoughts on how the venture money from the US is flowing into the EV market in India, especially the two-wheeler EVs. If you have any exposure to that.
Maybe you want to repeat the question?
So she's asking about how is it like flowing into the EV market in the venture money is flowing into the EV market in India. Okay, two-wheeler. Thank you.
I can give a few thoughts on that. I'm not the biggest expert on it. As a firm, Lightspeed has made investments in that market in India. We've got a company called Exponent, which is a charging network across India. The sort of stats, so there is capital going in. There's some interesting stats there. It's the fastest growing commercial EV market in the world. By that I mean, I don't just mean trucks. I don't mean trucks actually. I mean smaller three-wheeler trucks and four-wheeler small vans that do local deliveries and that. I also mean three-wheeler consumer mobility solutions. All of those are going to these EV battery packs. So there's actually a very fast-growing sort of market there. And then in the two-wheeler space, which you're referring to, Ether and Ola and all of those guys have set up factories and are actually growing. I don't know the scale of those. India is the largest two-wheeler market, so I'm assuming that'll grow to be pretty large. There are three opportunities in the EV market in India. One is the manufacturing of, so the OEM business, which is manufacturing vehicles themselves. That's one category. The second category is the charging network and the energy infrastructure behind it. And the third is the financing economy behind that. As a firm, we've taken the call that the actual building, the OEM side is very capital intensive and is not necessarily something that we are going to participate in, but the financing part and the charging and the energy infrastructure part is something we're interested in and we're investing behind that.
We have time for one more question. Out there, Chaitanya.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was really valuable insights on, again, the AI and software front. But I think the last question was a pretty good segue into what I wanted to ask you. For people looking to build in the deep tech hardware space in India, I think a lot more challenges come alive beyond software, right? Because you have to engage with the infrastructure and other like systemic issues around, let's say, bribery and things like that, which slow deployment and adoption in the country. So I was just wondering, how does Venture look at those challenges for people looking to build in the deep tech space in India?
Yeah, I can try. So, as a venture, early stage venture investors, what we look for is what is defensible here. Like the kind of things that you're talking about, it's a question of like, scaling challenges, execution challenges. If you have to sell within India, there is a modus operandi. There are certain aspects of it which needs to be addressed. But I will tell you, like, if true innovation is coming in where the value, tangible value is 10x better, and it is not just being sold based on price where there are 5 RFPs out of which 1 RFP will be taken. If it is like, another electric scooter coming up in the market along with like, 10 others and you have to win a tender, government tender, those kind of things, in those kind of situations, probably the issues that you're talking about gets magnified. But if you are truly building new age things which is not possible before. I mean, recently we are not an investor in the company, but IdeaForge is a company which went public. building drones and different kind of things there. So I think we are seeing a lot of innovation in that space, like you call it, maybe humanoid robot. There is a lot of things are happening around space tech, as you might know, in the country, a lot actually. It's coming along. I think the pace of innovation there is is lagging behind, much behind, I would say, if I have to compared to like, other software and other areas. There is opportunity, and it should only increase.
Yeah, I'll make just one very quick point. The academia-led sort of innovation which is happening is very, very real. And number two, the markets might not always be in India, it might be outside. So actually, some of the factors that you're talking about might not be as important, given that it's the place where the innovation is happening, but the business is going to be built for sort of the global world, right? So academia-linked stuff is just very real, which is happening. And actually, a lot of our universities are actually at the cutting edge of some of the deep tech stuff, like including space tech, climate tech, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So in the interest of time, we'll now be ending this session. You've had a deluge of positivity, inspiration, and guidance from these wonderful investors who's powering the India's growth story. So can we have a round of applause for these wonderful folks? And as a Stanford's tradition, I would like to present them with a memento from our organization. Thinking at let's start one by one.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. A group photo.
Please come in.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. While they're doing that, everyone, please, at this time, it's very important everyone find their seat, because we're now moving into the lunch table topic sessions, and our faculty advisor, Professor Anurag Mairal, and a member of our SIPEC team, Rishika, are going to come up and explain how this session is going to work. So please, very important that you stay seated right now, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Arman. How are you? How is everybody feeling? Great session so far. Let me have my fellow co-conspirator in this next session. This is table topic discussion. It's a unique concept. Remember, I had two asks for students and speakers who are here. Speakers basically all of you should be sharing your insights with the students, as thinking of yourself as Stanford professors. And students, you should extract as much as you can from folks that are going to be there. The table topic discussion during lunchtime is exactly the mechanism by which we want to do it. So Rishika is going to go through the names of the table topic leaders and co-leaders and student facilitators, and table numbers that they're supposed to be part of, and what topics they're going to be discussing. She's going to do that in a minute. And then we'll start the lunch thing, and at least the speakers and the facilitators will go get lunch first. They'll come back and they'll set up, and then you please be seated on the tables that you're supposed to be. So rest of you will go get your lunch, get your food, come back and go to the tables that you all have been assigned. It's really important that we do that, because there are limited spots. If you go sit at a table that you've not been assigned, then somebody who's been assigned will not have a spot. So just please keep that in mind. And again, the idea of this discussion is to facilitate exchange of ideas. The facilitators, student facilitators, are going to make sure that the discussion keeps moving forward. But table leaders and co-leaders, please take charge in sharing your story, what your insights are in these different topics that Rishika is about to share. So with that, is everybody in? Because we need all the table leaders in here as well. Gurcharanji is here, wonderful. Are there other people outside, Arman? Is everybody in? We need everybody in because they need to hear this. Okay. Ashaji is here, wonderful. Because you're going to be leading one of the tables as well, Ashaji. Okay. Rishika, we'll tell you. This is exactly, that's why we want everybody in. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone. So this is going to kind of sound just like reading a list. So for table one, the topic is diplomatic symphonies, crafting harmony in international relations. The speaker who will be leading this discussion is Rakesh Adlakant, co-led by Ajay Bhatoria. And the SIPEC team moderator will be Hansika Nageshwaran. That's table one. Table two will be led by Shri Thanedar. on Policy and Progress, the Congressional Canvas. Table 3 will be led by Sanjeev Sanyal and Amit Kapoor on Economic Cartographies, Sketching the Geofinancial Contours of Tomorrow. The SIPEC team moderator will be Rhythm Goyal. Table 4 will be Gurcharan Das, co-led by Divyanka Sharma and Brian Crump, on Liberal Labyrinths, Exploring the Philosophical Quest for Freedom. The SIPEC team moderator will be Sia Sehgal. Table 5, we have Dev Khare on Venture Vistas, Pioneering the Frontiers of Indian Innovation, and that one will be moderated by Devansh Sharma. So that was Table 5. Table 6 will be led by Sai Deepak and co-led by Omkar Joshi. Their topic will be Jurisprudential Journeys, Decoding the Legal DNA of Civilizational Ethos. And the SIPEC team moderator for that table, Table 6, will be Ashok Vishwanathan. Table 7 will be led by Ragnar Eldholm on Renewable Realms, Powering Sustainable Solutions. And the SIPEC team moderator is Suhani Mohan. Table 8 will be Johan Helm on Sustainability's Next Wave, Energizing Future Dialogues. The SIPEC team moderators for that one will be TV Saicharan and Srijay Vijayendla, and that is Table 8. Moving on to Table 9, Avinash Pandey will be leading that one on Narrative Dynamics, the media's role in democracy. And the student moderator will be Prakhar Goel. Table 10 will be Asha Motwani and co-led by Priya Tandon on Investing in Change, the Impact of Social Entrepreneurship. Student moderator will be Archit Palshikar. Table 11 will be Jishnu Bhattacharjee and Priyanka Sharma talking about Investing in Change, the US-India partnership. The SIPEC team moderator will be Rakshit Kaushik. Table 12 will be Manthan Shah on Investing in Change, a new generation of entrepreneurs, and the student moderator will be Mudit Bed. Table 13 will be led by Neeraj Jain on reimagining healthcare delivery and what India can teach the world, with SIPEC team moderator Pragati Rastogi. And last but not least, Table 14, led by Vishal Rao, also on reimagining healthcare delivery and what India can teach the world, with SIPEC team moderator Arman Sharma. So thank you, everyone.
So hopefully you made note of what your roles are, table topic leaders, co-leaders, and moderators. You will probably need to come and ask us. Those names that were just called out, you will actually get a chance to go get your lunch first because you need to come back and set up. Time is short. We want to catch up. We are running a little bit behind. There are few folks that are leading this discussion that we want to call upon stage because there are other folks that are leading these discussions that already will be on the stage. But we want to invite these folks many of whom have traveled from India just for this. So let me start with Dr. Vishal Rao. Dr. Vishal Rao, can I have you up on the stage here? Dr. Vishal Rao is a surgeon, head and neck surgeon, oncologist, and an innovator. He has come up with a number of innovative technologies. Those of you who know him know of the impact that he has created. So let's please come up on stage. Let's do a big round of applause for him. Neeraj Jain, let me have him up on the stage as well. He's head of Path India and working on public health. So a great partner with us at Stanford here. Asha Jadeja, can I have Asha Jadeja up on the stage here? Round of applause for her as well. She's been an amazing supporter for our work. She's an investor and overall community leader. Let's have Deputy Consul General Rakesh Adlakaji. Rakesh is obviously a great partner for us, representing External Affairs, Ministry of External Affairs. Mr. Ajay Bhutoria. Mr. Ajay Bhutoria is part of the Biden's team, a commission on Asian American and Pacific Islanders, and he's been instrumental in making a number of changes in H-1B laws. Round of applause for him as well. Amit Kapoor. Amit Kapoor has become my best buddy on the campus last couple of years. Is Amit in the room? Oh, he stepped out. Whenever he comes, he's going to miss out on his hat. Priya Tandon. Can I have Miss Priya Tandon in the room? Is she? Oh, there you go. So Priya Tandon is a co-founder of Setu Foundation, which is partnering very closely with Stanford Biodesign and bringing innovative health technologies to the last mile in places like Uttar Pradesh and Gujarat. A big round of applause for her as well. And let me see if I've missed any names, because other folks are going to be up on the stage at other times and they're going to get their hats. But we wanted to fulfill that tradition that Devansh mentioned or Arman mentioned. Rishika, can we do pictures? Yeah. No, please, Vanji. Oh, I like that. You can all put on the hat. Thinking hats, that's what we need. Ashaji, the hat. She's always been Stanford community, so. Thank you. So those who are, just here's your applause. Thank you so much. Those of you who are leading the table topics, or co-leading it, or facilitating it from student side, please step through the door. SIPEC team will guide you to the place where the lunch is. Rest of you, please stay seated. I'm sorry, you'll have to wait for 5-10 minutes before everybody, all of the table topic leaders and facilitators have grabbed their lunches.